guys, welcome. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that affects every single one of us, whether you're a student, a parent, a professional, or just a human trying to make sense of our emotions, yours or someone else's. That something is called emotional intelligence, and it has become very popular, I found, in the most recent years. Like, everyone's talking more about emotional intelligence and what it is, and I'm here to shine some light on this topic. I am currently a student studying psychology, minoring in neuroscience at the University of Sydney in Sydney, Australia. And this is a little course I'm doing, so hoping to share it with you guys. So emotional intelligence is not about being super emotional or super intelligent in that case. It's about how we understand our emotions, how we use them, and how they shape our everyday lives. And trust me, once you get the hang of this, it changes everything. It changes the way you work, the way you love, and the way you just live life. So come, let's dig into it. What is emotional intelligence to start off? So emotional intelligence is, from what researchers believe and what all these theorists believe, that there is no single definition as usual to emotional intelligence, but in simple terms, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, to understand, and manage emotions. So this includes both our own and other people's. So how do we respond in situations such as per se? Yeah. So there are currently two main ways that researchers can agree on that you can think of them. And you can think of emotional intelligence in two main ways, which is either the ability mode of emotional intelligence. It's going to be a tongue twisting, right? Sorry, guys. So the ability model, such as emotional skills, this one says emotional intelligence is a set of abilities that we can learn and improve, kind of like learning a sport or a language. And these abilities are usually broken down into four main parts. Part one, perceiving emotions. That's being able to pick up on emotion cues like facial expressions, body language, or the tone of voice, such as when you walk into a room and without anyone saying a word, you kind of feel the vibe. You know what I mean? Like, you just know what's kind of happening without talking, but you kind of just like, you get it. And that's emotional perception. So perception, how you perceive things, right? And two is using emotions to think. So yes, emotions can actually help us think. So like when you're excited about a project and the energy helps you create or solve problems, for example. And third, we have understanding emotions. So this is about, it kind of speaks for itself, understanding emotions, about knowing why someone feels a certain way or how emotions can shift over time and how they can connect to situations. It's like a emotional pattern recognition or such. And fourth, we have managing emotions, which I think most of us see, or not most, some of us would see how emotional intelligence could be perceived. So managing emotions is being able to calm ourselves down when we're angry, being to self-regulate, and just, or even helping others, being able to help others when they're upset. So it's not just about ourselves, it's also about how we respond to those around us. And it's not about ignoring emotions. I think that's an important key to highlight. We're not ignoring the emotions. It's about using them in a healthy and helpful way instead of just like shutting them down. But yes, the other view, so I told you there was two views to look at emotional intelligence. The second view is called the mixed model. The mixed model view. Mixed model view. And this is the second way researchers agreed on looking at emotional intelligence, and it's called the mixed model, or some might call it also the trait emotional intelligence. So as the title suggests, this is a combination of ways to look at it. So this one says that emotional intelligence isn't just about skills, but it's also about your personality and your attitudes and how you generally handle life in general. So this model includes things, it's a bigger model than the ability model. So it includes things such as self-awareness, optimism, empathy, self-tolerance, stress tolerance, adaptability, impulse control, and just overall happiness. Overall happiness, just throw that in there because. So instead of just asking, can I recognize emotions, and also ask, am I a person who tends to manage emotions well? Am I emotionally balanced most of the time? It's kind of the personality trait with emotions at the center. So, like when you kind of like testing for personality trait, this is just kind of like the focus is emotional intelligence, whereas personality trait kind of surrounds it. So now that we kind of get what emotional intelligence is, I know it's not overall, it's pretty clear, but I'd say it's pretty clear. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, the two models don't seem that far apart, but just remember that one is more focused on ability and the other is more focused on personality and attitudes combination with the ability. So it's more of a mixed model, which is what's called the mixed model and the ability model. So now with these two definitions, we find out how do we measure emotional intelligence, which I don't think is so new. This is like the next module that I'm going to be doing, just looking at the history of emotional intelligence and more in depth. But for today, it's just a brief introduction of what it is, how we measure it, and so on. So how do we measure emotional intelligence? Now that we know what it is, researchers have linked 3 types of tests to measure this, and here's how it looks. Number 1, this is called the Stream 1. So I don't know why it's called streams, but that's what it's called, Stream 1, and it's the skill-based test. So I actually did 2. I only did 2. I only did 2 tests. It says 3 types here, but I only did 2 tests in this course so far, testing my emotional intelligence. It got decent, but the second one was like, we'll get into that. Let's just talk about the first one. So the first one is called Stream 1, and it's called the skill-based test. And these are based on the ability model. And they give us little tasks like showing you a face and asking you, what emotion is this? And these tests are looked at how you can, these tests looks at how well you can do the skill. So I scored pretty high on this. Don't mean to toot my horn, but I guess I can read a face. It's definitely something I've picked up over the years of always being hyper-focused and semi-fixated on people. Not in a creepy way, I just really pay attention when it comes to people. Not when it comes to anything else. Anyways, and yeah, so I got really high tests on that, but surprisingly, I scored average on, was it emotional understanding or using emotions to think? I think I scored average on one of that, and I think the test was just saying that I didn't understand that some situations might make a person angry. But I think like the wording of the quiz, or not the quiz, sorry, the wording of the test was someone just say, what should this person be feeling? And I kind of I kind of like projected what I would have been feeling instead of what this person would have been feeling. So in a lot of situations, they're asking you to kind of like know that this person is going to be upset if someone takes something from them. But for me, I wouldn't have been upset as much, I guess, because I can understand that some people are just the way they are. So I might have just put they would have been upset, where maybe they would have. So I scored average on that, which is fine because that's what testers do. You can't really measure for everything, right? I mean, they do try. So the second test is called the Stream 2. Again, I don't know why it's called streams, but it sounds fancy. The Stream 2 is called the self-rating of your emotional skills. So self-rating emotional skills, this test was a lot more straightforward. It kind of just got us to rate ourselves Like, for example, it asks you, can I usually tell people how we're feeling? No, sorry. It says, I can usually tell how other people are feeling. Agree, disagree, strongly disagree, the five. Like, sorry. It should be strongly disagree, disagree, agree, strongly agree. So four, yeah, the four. So like just self-ratings of emotional intelligence, and obviously I scored high on that, not extremely high. So it gave you like a low, high, average, and extremely high band. But I just scored high on this, I guess. So it's not bad, but it was very short. It was like a 5 minutes, quick one. But here's a stream 3, which I haven't really looked at yet. It's called the Trait Emotional Intelligence Personality Style Questionnaire. So these are based on the mixed model, and they might ask us questions like, I'm usually a happy person. Oh, I think this is similar to self-rating as well. I could be wrong, but it's saying that I'm usually a happy person, or I stay calm under pressure, and this paints a picture of our emotional habits and traits. There's no best test, they say. Like, each one looks a slightly different part of the emotional intelligence puzzle, so it's like little pieces of a bigger, wider puzzle. But yeah, so I guess after understanding and knowing all this, a way to bring it all together and apply it in a constructive way. Sorry, I keep pulling my my thing. You see it throughout the video, just ignore me. But yeah, so a constructive way that we could apply this into our everyday life, and why we can see the importance of understanding emotional intelligence is, this is the fun part, right? Why do we care? I think it's quite simple. Emotional intelligence can improve just about every aspect of our life. Like, I think back in the days, intelligence, like quote intelligence, like your IQ, was very proudly looked upon. Like, yeah, you have to be a smart person, you have to be academic, but nowadays I think there's been a shift to EQ, which is your emotional quotient. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Quotient. EQ. So not your intelligence, but more your emotional intelligence, and people find that to be a lot more valuable in today's age, rather than just being academically smart and still not being able to regulate your emotions, still not being able to calm down in certain situations, which honestly I find difficult sometimes. And having kids really bring this out of you, because you're constantly trying to help them regulate their emotions. Like, I'm always teaching my kids to do their deep breathing, to calm down, to label their emotions. We're sorry, we're very big on the zones of regulation. So are you in the blue zone, the yellow zone, the green zone, the red zone? So first, we're able to label your emotions, find out what you're feeling, because sometimes kids just don't know what they're feeling. And this has been a big work for us, especially with our kids, with having a lot of meltdowns and not understanding why they're feeling the way they're feeling, not being able to communicate the way they're feeling. It's a whole thing. Emotional intelligence, being able to self-regulate, is a whole thing. And I find that, like I said, through having kids, I'm learning the importance of self-regulation. Like, I'm terrible at it, and I think it's really important to learn. It's a very important skill to learn. But yeah, so I'll give some examples for workplace. People with higher emotional intelligence tends to be better leaders, because I guess it speaks for itself. They're more aware of their feelings, their limitations, their pros and their cons, and also understand the social context of how other people are feeling. So they're better communicators and better problem solvers naturally, I guess, and especially in high pressure situations, they're more able to stay calm and don't let conflict get the best of them, which ideally we all could do. And also in relationships per se, to be able to understand and respond to emotions helps us build deeper, more respectful and loving connections. It helps us know when to listen, when to support, and when to give space. So, just like, in relationships, like those really high intelligence partners in a relationship where they just kind of like, they just know to hold space for you. They kind of just, like when you're upset, they don't take that personally, and they just hold space. I don't know if everyone knows what the term hold space means. It's like say you're dysregulated and you're having a meltdown, you're having a breakdown, or you're just feeling very upset. Instead of just like, what's wrong with you? You know, like just get over it. Like these high EQ, high emotional intelligent people knows just they understand that people get upset, and they need a safe space to let it out, to explore what they're feeling, to get some psychological air, which is a term used in the 7 Habits, highly recommended book. Just some psychological air to just feel like they can breathe again, because sometimes it's just so much going on in our heads, and we just need some space. And I think emotional intelligent people are really good at managing that in relationships as well. And of course, for mental health, it also helps a lot with mental health. Managing emotions doesn't just mean ignoring them. Once again, it doesn't mean just shutting it down and just ignoring it and not deal with it. Just like bury it deep, don't deal with it. You know, just pushing it aside. It means like knowing what to do with our emotions. So I also struggled immensely with this. As some of you may know, but I'm learning, as most of us are. So people with high emotional intelligence, they tend to cope better with stress and apparently bounce back a lot faster from hard times. So I think the thing with my depression, which I've shared before, a lot more on Instagram, if you want to check me out there, is that I get depressed, but I'm very blessed to not stay there for a long time. Like, it's bad when I'm there, but I'm not there for a long time. I want to say that I'm not saying that I am extremely emotional intelligent, because I wish I was. Because I wish I was better at self-regulating. I mean, my kids are getting so good at it. They help me regulate all the time. They're like, the moment they see me a little bit dysregulated, and they're like, Mom, you need to calm down. Do your deep breaths. They're like so fun. What am I raised? Emotionally intelligent people, that's what. And also decision making. The last one, it says decision making. Believe it or not, emotions can play a huge role in how we make choices. So when you're emotionally aware, you can make better, clearer, and less impulsive decisions. I am terrible at this. I am very impulsive. Very impulsive. I need to work on that. I need to be less impulsive. That would be good. So emotional intelligence, as you can see, is nice to have overall, and it's also quite essential. And the last part I would also like to be talking about, well, actually, second last part before the closing, is that emotional intelligence, how can we improve it? Or can we improve it? The answer is yes, you can improve it, of course. And how do we do that? So unlike IQ, which is, the intelligence, emotional intelligence can grow and change over time. And I'm about to give you some ways to build it. 1, you can practice noticing emotions in yourself and others. And you can do this by what I use with my kids, the zones of regulation. Or there's also a version for adults. It's called the wheel of regulation. The emotion wheel. I think it's an emotion wheel, where it kind of labels emotions and also labels how you might feel in your body with these emotions. And I think it's really helpful. I think understanding and kind of being able to put a label in it and know how you feel is a very important first step. And then second, you can also pause before reacting. Oh, this is big, because I've spoken to a lot of people about this, kind of like pausing before reacting. And sometimes you can't pause. Sometimes, especially as a parent or a mother or even a person in a very stressful work environment, sometimes it's just, do you ever feel like you just go from 0 to 100? Like, there's no space in between. There's no pause. There's there's no space to pause. You kind of just calm, and then you just kind of like explode. I feel like, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. This one's hard, but you can definitely practice it through deep breathing. But you also have to be aware before it gets to the point where you can't pause. So I think deep breathing only works when you kind of just at the very early phase of escalation. If that makes sense. So it's like just, it has to be really early in the dysregulation before for deep breathing to work. Because if you're they say in the whole brain child, the book of the whole brain child, when your brain, if your amygdala, which is this part in our brain, fancy brain words, I know, I'm sorry, there's this part in the brain that once it's like, it's flipped, so this is like the lid being flipped, once it's flipped, that's it. Just write it out. You can't do anything once you've reached that, just write it out. Just let it do its thing. It's gone. You're gone. There's nothing that can bring you back because now, like your fight or flight mode, your flight or fight mode has just activated. I'm sure you're familiar with that term because I think a lot of people are. And if you're not, that's okay. If you're not, that's okay. Fight or flight mode. So you're kind of like triggered. You know, you're like, you're heightened. And once you've heightened, just write it out, man. Just write it out. That's okay. Just try again tomorrow. It's okay. We all get upset sometimes. It's normal, you know. Just try again tomorrow. And also 3, another way that can help you improve emotional intelligence, bring it back, is to journal your emotions. And I've had this. I love journaling. I don't know about anyone else, but I love journaling. I love even just speaking it out, writing it down. I have my little journal here. It's upside down. I have my journal here. I love journaling. It really helps me put everything that's in here. So it kind of just transfers the noise and puts everything kind of in order, and also very beneficial to reflect on, to like kind of go back and say, that was a bit crazy. That's not the case anymore. Let's just flip the page and write a new, better page. But it's good to reflect on, good to recognize, and just good to help you build on your emotional intelligence. And another way is to ask others how they're feeling and actually listen. That's the key. Actually listen, because that's hard. Speaking from experience, that is the hardest part, to actually listen when people talk. I think it might be a lot easier for some people than others, but for me, this part is actually hard because it requires focus. And like I said, I am focused when it comes to people, but I have to also be interested in what the people are saying. So when people are talking, and unfortunately when it was not a topic of interest of mine, I kind of zone out, which is not good. Don't do that. I mean, you can. It's kind of natural too, right? But to actually listen means you're not just listening and kind of thinking of the next thing you're going to say. To actually listen, this is a skill that I've trying to work on for the longest time, and I think it's gotten a lot better. But it's still very hard to actually just be present and listen. This is honestly hands down one of my biggest weaknesses, like that I've reflected on throughout like the last multiple 10 years of like communication. I always try to fill the silence because I hate awkward silence. But guess what? Awkward silence is okay because it gives space for the other people to actually think about what they're thinking about, instead of me just filling in the silence and talking for them and guiding the conversation in kind of the ways that I want it to go, and not actually listen to what they're having to say, not actually listen to the whole picture, you know. Like, silence is okay, just listen, and if there's space for questions, then, you know, do really just simple questions. It doesn't have to be like, you know, it doesn't have to be a crazy conversation all the time. And usually I tend to guide conversations a lot from just own anxiety. I get anxious when people are quiet. You can dig that. We can dig that. I just get anxious in silence. But I'm learning. And also, the last two are practicing empathy. So trying to, you know, see yourself in other people's shoes, which I feel like we're getting a lot better at. And the last thing, what I've mentioned a lot, which is breathing. Just deep breaths, which is least with the pause before reacting kind of thing, but you know, with the flip lid I was talking about, just trying to deep breathe. But if your lid has flipped, just ride the wave. Just can I do that still? Is that good? Anyways, distraction. And yeah, so to close up, to wrap up everything I've said so far, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. Emotional intelligence is not about being perfect, and it's not about always being in control. It's about being aware and being intentional. I love that word. Intentional. I love that word. Just being intentional. Intentional. Being intentional and being kind, not just to others, but to ourselves. I think that's huge. Be kind to yourselves, guys. And whether you connect more with the ability model, I can't say that word properly. So whether you connect more with the ability model or the mixed model, whether you ace the test or you feel like you're just starting out, emotional intelligence is something we all use every single day. And now that you know more about it, you can start using it more intentionally, sorry. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, guys. If this video has helped at all, please share with someone or hit the like and subscribe. I always find it so funny when people do that. Hit the like and subscribe, and hopefully maybe someone who's on their own journey in growth of understanding can resonate and relate to this. So stay aware, stay aware, stay aware, stay connected, and keep growing. You've got this. Yay. Bye. See ya.